I mean, we that decision that we made to make the art look like that was also a deliberate but risky decision. You know, as you stated, our NFTs don't look like other NFT projects. They look old. They
Mm,
look like lithographs almost, or silk
mm.
screens or stencil art. You know, and we did that on purpose, working with this amazing artist friend of mine named B. Tom Stevenson.
What made you kind of carry the pigeon into the metaverse? Like, why was that your, one of the ideas that you started playing with?
Yeah, I mean, why not, right? The pigeon has become our logo and our mascot. You know, I'd like to think the pigeon is uh, my polo horse for Ralph Lauren. You know, and it really represents the culture much better than like a Lacoste crocodile or like a polo horse. You know, because the pigeon, if you live in any sort of like urban metropolitan area, a pigeon probably infests that metropolitan area, and the residents of that city tend to usually have like a very love hate relationship with the pigeon. And
Mm,
I think the pigeon really just represents this struggle to survive and a need to hustle in order to like get to where they want to be in life, you know. And when you're taking your tram, your subway, your bus, or your, you know, you're on a bike on your way to work, these pigeons are sort of like your spirit animal. You see them everywhere. They don't really get out of your way. They shit on you, you know, winter, spring, summer, fall, they're out there. And I just love that nonstop hustle mentality. And when we adopted it back in the early 2000s and premiered it on the Pigeon Dunk, what better way to launch a logo? You know, we've carried that throughout. So when you ask about the metaverse and Web3, to me, the metaverse and Web3 is just another chapter in the storytelling of Staple. You know,
mm.
if it started out as print campaigns and print lookbooks and print catalogs, to then blogspot pages, to then Facebook pages, to then Twitter, to then Instagram, to then Snapchat, to then Medium posts. You know, this is just a new form of communication in a new world that's super exciting. I am selective about where we go, and I want to make sure it makes sense for the brand. Like as um old fashioned and as grandpa as this will sound, like we are currently today in September 2022 deliberating if we should have a TikTok strategy.
Mm.
That sounds old as fuck, I know, because everyone's on TikTok, but I want it to be right. I don't want to
Yes.
just do it because everyone else is doing it and you're supposed to do it. I want to have a voice. I think I'm a storyteller and I want to be able to tell a good story using that tool. And if I can't figure out how to do it, I won't do it
Mm.
because I just, you know, I won't participate.
Let's jump into the Stapleverse. Can you tell me the origin story? I think you started talking about it, with the pigeon, about the feed, the hood, and the poop.
Mhm.
Can you tell me why you split them? Like, what was the thinking behind that project?
Like I got really excited about the fact that I can kind of write my own cinematic universe here, like Marvel did, you know,
Mm,
and like create characters and factions and, you know, different tribes within this new Stapleverse world. And I'm fully cognizant that everybody wants the pigeon and they think about the pigeon as staple and they expect that like if Jeff's going to come out with an NFT project, it's going to be 10,000 pigeon PFPs. That's what
mm,
it probably should be, you know. And I deliberately zigged when everyone thought I was going to zag because I wanted to tell something deeper and a little bit more innovative, and I wanted to also push the boundaries of like, you know, my product team, my dev team. You know, I just wanted to like have fun with this because if I'm going to crank out something, I might as well just crank out t-shirts or sneakers, to be honest. Like,
mm.
let's use this platform that has, as you said, limitless possibilities, and let's actually flex on that, you know. So the idea was, if you want to catch a pigeon, which everyone sort of metaphorically does when it comes to staple, they want to get a pigeon. Um, you have to feed a pigeon. You have to lure it with some food. So the
Mm.
initial thing that we released was feed, and it was 20 items that you might find a funny city pigeon trying to eat. You know, and that's whether it's like nuts or, like a hot dog bun or something like that, or a pizza slice, all the way to weirder things like a dumpling or a kebab or like a syringe
Mm.
or, a used condom, like kind of funny things that like you might find in a gross city. So we released those 10,000 feeds, and they sold out right away. And then after a little bit of time, we gamified it a little bit where we let the community decide whether they want to now keep their feed, or, as you know, if you want to try to catch a pigeon, you have to toss your feed out, right? So we had this burning mechanism where you can toss your feed, aka burn your feed, and in return, you might get a pigeon. But as in real life, you might not get a pigeon. You actually might just get a pigeon shitting on your head. So you might just get poop out of that, right? So when you can keep your feed or you can toss your feed, and when you toss, you randomly either get a pigeon or you get a poop NFT. So now there's three factions, and much of the storyline that came about came organically from the community. For instance, the people who got poop, which technically speaking, I guess is kind of like the losing NFT. Like, you want a pigeon, you got pooped on, right? But the
Mm.
poop gang really coalesced into almost like a mafia. Like
Mm.
they were proud of being poop, And so we started to treat the poop almost like a mini DAO of its own. And they act as like a mafia would. Like they act as like a collective group. Whereas the pigeons are sort of like they're happy they got a pigeon. They're all sort of like every man for himself kind of thing. I got a pigeon, I'm
Yeah.
happy. Don't talk to me. But the poop really came together. So we did some really fun things with poop. And then feed holders were really proud that they kept feed as well. So you had this like sort of faction going. And everything that I just mentioned, what internally and a little bit externally, but we call that phase one and phase two. So phase one was feed. Phase two was the tossing and then the pigeon and the poop and the feed. And now at the end of this year, we're about to embark on phase three of the project, and we just want Stapleverse to constantly evolve into these different phases. And right now, by the way, we're all centered around sort of like Gotham City, New York City as like the setting.
Mm.
But we also foresee in the future, you know, I have my roots and my brand in all different places in the world, right? So like Tokyo, China, like Berlin, all of these cities like mean something to me. So we could actually move to different cities as well. And because this is the metaverse and you're only limited by your imagination, we could actually move to different planets if we wanted to, or different galaxies, So
Mm.
what does a pigeon look like on Jupiter? You know what I mean? We could actually like think of these things in our mind, which is awesome.
So my wife is she's very cynical of this whole world,
Hmm.
and the feed NFT with the cigarette butt that was stamped out. It was on my screen when I was doing research for this episode, and she was like, "I want that NFT. Buy it for me." So
Nice.
my wife now owns one NFT, and it's your feed NFT because it's the only one she's ever seen. But she also loves the aesthetic. She was like, "That's actually beautiful and not ugly like a lot of the art in the space."
That decision that we made to make the art look like that was also a, a deliberate but risky decision. As you stated, our NFTs don't look like other NFT projects. They look old. They
Mm.
look like lithographs almost, or silk
Mm.
screens or stencil art. And we did that on purpose, working with this amazing artist friend of mine named B. Tom Stevenson. And he's old school. Like he does things on a Xerox machine and thermal fax paper and stuff. And we did that on purpose to sort of show that Staple has been here since day one. And so we wanted to bring that history into the NFT space. I've met two kids that have like more than five pairs in their collection, and it's a special thing to see. I went to a sneaker con in Shanghai a couple of years back, 2019, right before COVID, and one kid who had like seven pairs of Pigeon Dunks came out, and he set up a display of his collection. And this kid, it was so like it really touched me to see, because this kid was a celebrity because he owned seven pairs of Pigeon Dunks.